Peace, y'all. This is Star with the Star Balloons. Give me 1 second. The little spray thing's messed up. It is early in the morning. But I wanted to get these messages in. That way, I could just get them in, okay? While they're hot and ready. Okay, so there's like a list of stuff that I've been in the midst of like working through. And y'all know how I am. I like to basically process things for myself, receive whatever is meant for me to retrieve in the midst of it, okay? And allow myself the ability to be able to actually garner whatever it is um, that I'm meant to, okay? A lot of the times, a lot of the times we don't really give ourselves the opportunity based off of our inability to actually see and believe in ourselves. And one of the things that I've been challenged with is being okay and being in representation of my energy. A lot of the times I've been in the midst of facing myself off. Um, I like the analogy the spirit gave me a second ago. They basically said, when you take a test and you're given, the test over, the only thing that you're desiring in exchange when you do this test is a grade, is a score. You just want to actually be scored on your performance. You want to know how you did, you know? And a lot of the times we don't actually see and perceive that for ourselves. So what'll happen is in the midst of whatever it is that we're doing, we'll acquire certain rates of how to be in the perception of what's going on. We won't carry y'all. And this is the thing. I had literally like paused on doing social media, and the reason why I had done so is because I continue to get um it's like two parts of my home that is showing, and I do not want certain stuff to be I don't want certain stuff to be in view. Okay, so the thing with this what am I trying to say? With TikTok, y'all, it is doing this weird thing where it's like freezing, taking like screenshots, and then it's almost like it's disappearing. And I don't know what this is about. I don't know if it's like, and I even, okay, so when I try to download it, even when I try to download it, it's not necessarily like showing up the way that I even recorded it. And I'm wondering if the part that's like stopping is the actual part when it's like doing this like freeze and screenshot thing. It just did something extremely weird just a second ago. My hands is itching. Okay, so I want to stay focused. One of the main things that I recognize, okay, is that in each rate of like growth that we have, and we are going through so much growth right now, y'all. There's so many things that we are having the opportunity to garner for ourselves um, in whatever case, okay? But a lot of the times we are so afraid to show up. And the reason why we're afraid to show up, y'all, is because we perceive that whatever it is that we have to offer has already been done. Or you have this rate of not truly believing in yourself or not being able to stand in whatever power it is that you've garnered, right? And we convince ourselves of certain things based off of like this limited belief, right? A lot of the times, what I've recognized in the most like profound experiences that I've had, y'all, is that they happen organically based off of me showing up as who I am. They happen so organically. The other day I was at it's a place here called Mustard Seed. It's like a thrift store, like a commodity store, but it's called Mustard Seed. And coming out of it, I seen this lady. And I just so happened to just talk to her. And I was standing there and I was talking to her and I said, well, I'm a medium. I'm a psychic medium. I had no problem, saying it. I'll say it to people just, out of light of just basically just being like transparent. And I was like, for me, I don't really like coming to like the thrift stores and stuff like that because of the energy that I recognize sits on, the items and stuff inside of these places. And she's like, oh my goodness, I knew it was something about you. I could just feel your energy and something called me to you. It's almost like it smacked me coming out the door. Now, the morning when I woke up, when this happened, I wasn't actually intending to do or actually go through the processes that I went through. This is what it looks like to be in flow with ourselves, y'all. I actually had no idea that I would even end up there. It just happened organically. Saying all this to say this. A lot of the times we want to make things be a perfect thing for us in order for us to be. We want to have the perfect circumstances. We want to have developed our gifts to the T, not have any pockets. We want to be the best at what it is that we know ourselves to be and show up completely as who we are. We're desiring to be unflawed in any characteristics that other people have the ability to dissect or perceive. And it really, really limits us because when it gets to the point of actually doing the stuff that it is that we're requiring, our energy to show up in participation of, a lot of the times what'll happen is that you won't actually be truthful in your gift. You'll be in a performance of whatever it is to prove that you have the ability to do something. And spirit don't like that shit, y'all. Spirit does not like when we go through the whole when we use our gifts as like I called it like a party trick. When you use your spiritual gifts as a party trick, it's so, it doesn't really suit you, you know? So I wanted to get that out. And then I'm just going to share some messages. Peace to everybody who's showing up. I'm literally just getting a feel for everybody's energy. Um, it's like running rapid. Just like a crazy kind of like uneasy, settled kind of energy. I recognize like each person that's come on, it's like they're only able to sit within the space for like a couple of minutes and then they're just getting off. And to me, that kind of is also in a representation of what I've been reading throughout the collective, how there's been this rate of desire for people to sit within something and then not being able to sit within it yourself. What am I saying? We're asking people to show up, being willing participants in what it is that we're carrying, what it is that we're going through, what it is that we're going through. Um, Thank you. Appreciate you for that. Um, we're wanting people to show up as willing participants in whatever it is that we're going through. And we're not showing up for ourselves. We're not willing to show up for ourselves at that rate. We're desiring for any and everybody else to do the work for us. And that's something that I've had to work through myself. And it looks so different for everybody. And the reason why it looks different is because it's going to show up different on you. You know, a lot of y'all have been at this rate where you are wanting to constantly convince yourself that consumption is going to coast whatever it is that you feel perilled with. And you convince yourself of this based off of current engagements. And a lot of the times, the reason why we're in this space is because we don't want to perceive what is different within ourselves while being in the rate of actually integrating what it is that we truly are. A lot of the times, we don't integrate who it is that we were before we decided to become the thing that we was conditioned to be. And it becomes so uncomfortable, y'all, to be at this rate of wanting to constantly experience peace. Hi, beautiful. Wanting to constantly experience the rate of exchange with other people and not being willing to actually see that within ourselves. We have an opportunity that's like so unique. Hi, I feel you. I don't know who you are. I felt your energy. That's why I said, hey, beautiful. Hi, how you doing? I feel everybody's energy, and I literally was like, okay, it's early. I'm about to come on live, all right? Because I feel that there's so many people who have the opportunity to do something different right now. Spirit is yelling, show up, show up, show up, be full, be holding your gift, be operating in the space that you're desiring and requiring other people to acknowledge you at. A lot of the times, y'all, will ask Source, will ask Big Mama to actually do the thing for us, right? And we be timid as fuck in how we express our gift. We be so timid. We be so timid. And you don't know, like if you really, really set in Source's energy, if you sit in that energy, you recognize that it is a bold, loud statement. It is a bold, bold, loud statement. All right. And if you don't give yourself the opportunity to actually be at a rate to where you're in representation of that bold, loud statement that's being made, a lot of the times you won't actually fulfill what it is that you're desiring. And a lot of the times you don't fulfill that based off of the realization that you aren't actually in belief of what it is that you now know to be true. We don't really know ourselves completely. And because we don't know who we are, we start showing up as other people. And then we get rates of awareness because we decide to start healing. And then once you decide to heal, y'all, it's hilarious. Once you start to heal, you have an opportunity where you see, I'll say it this way, you'll start healing and you'll actually perceive yourself in the rate that other people have been perceiving you, only based off of the fact of actually critiquing and fine tuning what it is that you know yourself not to be. So you'll see the conditioning based off of your relatives, your family, your parents. You'll see the placements that you've taken in friendships. You'll see the way that you've shown up in community. And you'll want to hone in on different rates of different ways of being, right? And then you'll have this position within yourself that says something different. Yet, even in the midst of you wanting to be at the rate where you're actually living out the thing that says something different, thank y'all so much. I like these little things, y'all. I got an ice cream cone. This is my first ice cream cone. Thank you, beautiful. Um, yeah, but you'll be in the rate of wanting to experience something different within yourself, but you won't know how to be the new thing based off of the realization that you have to stop being what it is that you've allowed yourself to be conditioned in. So it's a dope rate that we get to be in right now. Um, it's a dope rate that we get to be in right now. Give me a second, y'all. Give me a second. Peace, how y'all doing? I'm recording on multiple platforms, so this is a whole lot. I'm trying to stay focused. Can we be friends? Of course. Why not? Why not? My name is Star. My name is Star. Yeah, so one, show the F up and show up loud, proud, and know that it's the perfect time to say yes. Say yes to a new beginning. Say yes to the new space that you're desiring to be in. Say yes to the dream that you've decided that you have the opportunity and the chance to actually move through. Allow yourself to be in the permission of your spirit being and having the flow that it needs and requires at this time. Do not convince yourself that you have to constantly be at this rate where you're rushing into something, creating endings for yourself before you allow yourself to fully begin where you're at, and not allowing the things that actually have played out. I feel like it's a lot of shit that's been played out, y'all. It's a lot of stuff that's been played out. And at this point where a lot of us are at, we're at the midst of actually being retrieved. You know, your chariot has come. You have a literal transportation that is moving you out of the space that you've allowed yourself to be calcified in based off of previous conditions and actual self belief. You know yourself now to be different. You honoring yourself now to be at a different rate. So experience yourself at this new rate. And a lot of the times, all it is releasing what it is that you were, understanding that this emptiness that you're experiencing. A lot of y'all start healing, and you release a lot of energy, right? And once you release the energy, you sit there, you feel so empty, you be so confused, like what's going on? I have no clue how to be in this space, right? A lot of the times what's happening is you literally have actually surrendered the thing that you weren't, and now you have to integrate the thing that you were always meant to be by remembering in your being. Being, y'all, is what you do, what you will from within, so you must have, okay? What does that mean? I have to have whatever it is that I am. And if you are, which means you're operating full within your being, you're going to retrieve based off of spirit has this thing where it has abilities to actually place us in predicaments so we can retrieve lessons, but it also has a responsibility in confirming for you whatever you affirm for yourself and whatever you are operating within truth. All right. And if you recognize a lot of the shifts occur spiritually first, you have the opportunity to also honor in yourself and garnering, which means I get to receive this. I don't just have my hand out just because I have my hand out. I did some work. Now I get to actually open my hand up 33%. It's 555 and 33% on my phone. Um, I just wanted to share that part of the message. I will be coming back on live. I'm going to be doing a couple of lives today. I'm up early. I got to go and get some shopping and stuff done so my baby's straight. But I wanted to just be at a rate to where I allow myself to share based off of the truth that I've actually received, not just the pain that I've allowed myself to perceive. And it could be so difficult when you are going through things and you are doing your best. You're growing through these circumstances, all right? And you're doing your best. You have to give yourself permission and be at a rate within yourself where you're saying, hey, I get the opportunity to actually fall in love with myself at this new rate, where I get to honor myself in permission of the change that's come. And the way that I broke down change today is just experience. Like when we hear change, a lot of us, y'all, we be freaking out. We be freaking out. Um, and it's like I don't want y'all to get so confused, especially like in the comments and stuff. Because it's like a lot of stuff that's like sidetracked. I want y'all to stay focused on the message, okay? Um, a lot of the times, y'all, we look at change so derogatory. And the reason why we look at it so derogatory is because we're not actually perceiving it in a heightened perspective of what it actually is going to bring into us. You are desiring to experience something different. You're desiring to experience something different. And if you recognize that the change is only a representation of a new experience, you will be more open to actually retrieving this. You're going to honor this space because I'm not necessarily just changing to take away the things that I love, to not be with something anymore, to not be in something anymore. And a lot of stuff that are we used to being with, y'all, is obligations. These are tasks, these are burdens that we place on ourselves, desiring ourselves to show up in the midst of something else for other people without actually rendering whatever it is that we're needing and requiring. A lot of times, y'all, because I speak to a lot of leaders, if you're meant to actually lead a group, to actually charge forward in an action, in a cause, and you have a gift that it is that you're offering for any reason, okay, on any platform, in any rate, all right, a lot of the times what's happening is you're requiring yourself to actually heal at a certain rate so you can receive it first. We got it so mixed up now, y'all. We want to barely receive what it's meant for us to receive and then automatically pour it out onto other people and then wonder why we can't fully garner whatever it is that we're in requirement of. The only reason is because you haven't allowed yourself to be open. You haven't allowed yourself to be fully open to whatever space it is that you're meant to take up. And because you aren't open, you aren't full and whole within yourself. So then, when it's time for you to actually be in light of your light, because you got to see your light first. You got to be in receipt of your light first. You got to be able to hold in that energy before you blast it out to other people. You got to be able to carry the light that you actually are in representation of. If you aren't in a space of willingness, at least just to be open, y'all, okay? And showing up and being patient but bold at the same time, and complete whole statements and truth of whatever it is that you aren't actually willing and allowing yourself to actually retrieve whatever it is that's actually come in to sharpen you. Okay. I love y'all. I hope that y'all um choose to be different. Don't run forward closing doors that have been open for you. A lot of stuff is happening and it's occurring, but it's because of whatever it is that you need right now. And a lot of the times, y'all, we don't know, we don't be in representation of what is truth. And the reason why we aren't willing to do that is because we will judge others based off of how we now perceive them, because we've waken up to a certain level of awareness that we have been asleep to. And a lot of the times you don't recognize 90% of the time, 99.9% of the time, y'all, whatever it is that you're having the opportunity to perceive on others, in others, with others, in connections, in obligations, in weight that you decided to bear, you're only perceiving a part of you that may have been a shadow that you had buried, that you weren't willing to look at, that you weren't willing to honor, that you've become. And it's a lesson that you've now learned. And what happens is when we release these lessons, we be thinking that we're releasing it to be empty-handed. And that's where the fear comes at with change. And we have to get beyond that space and that rate with ourselves, because we have to be able to fully recognize that you're not actually just emptying your hand for it to be empty. This is not like they said something about like spring cleaning. This is not just you basically having no spring cleaning, okay? Just so you could have like an empty hand. You not necessarily just doing that. You making room so you could receive, and beyond receipt, y'all. You making room so you could register what was meant to actually be in this hand that I was supposed to be holding. I've been holding on to a whole lot of ish that wasn't mine, spirit. I'm ready for the new thing. I'm ready to garner the new experience. I see the new rate that's actually come within me and for me at this time, and I'm willing to honor it. So I'm going to release the things that I know I'm not by being who it is that I am, okay? And do that. All right? Do that. Be put purposeful in whatever it is that you meant to be purposeful in. Let go of the things that you know that you're no longer desiring or requiring. Allow yourself to have permission, okay, to show up different, and just be intentional, okay? I love y'all. Hope y'all have a dope day, and I'll be back on live later. Peace. I feel you. I don't know who you are. I felt your energy. That's why I said, hey, beautiful. How you doing? I feel everybody's energy, and I literally was like, okay, it's early. I'm about to come on live, all right? Because I feel that there's so I felt your energy. That's why I said, hey, beautiful. How you doing? I feel everybody's energy, and I literally was like, okay, it's early. I'm about to come on live, all right? Because